What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Ask Paul, the podcast where I, Paul Abernathy, attempt to answer all of your electrical questions submitted through the paulabernathy.com portal. If you haven't used it yet, it's a free service that's sponsored by Electrical Code Academy Incorporated, and it's a online portal that allows you to submit questions to me in a very simple, easy format, and they get routed directly to a special folder so it doesn't get lost in my email. It doesn't get buried in all of the BS. That's right, I said it. So look, all you got to do is go to Paul Abernathy, that's PaulAbernathy, just like it sounds, paulabernathy.com. And you can submit your questions to me, and I will answer them either in a podcast like today or in an email response, or guess what? Starting on June 28th of 2023, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, we have a new live show called Fast Tracks Live that's going to be every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So adjust your time zones accordingly. And I will answer questions on the air. We will do mini lessons each week, a little segment of the code. We'll talk about it, industry news, giveaways, a whole bunch of stuff. If you want to see what the new format's actually going to look like, then all you got to do is jump on over to fasttrackssystem.com and go click on the blog. If you click blog, you'll see one of our blogs. I basically break down how the show is going to be starting on June 28th. So where can you listen? Well, it's also live, so it's video. It's going to be on all of our major platforms, YouTube, Rumble. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on Twitch. It's going to be on Facebook, all of our Facebook pages. Typically, the @master_the_NEC symbol or shortcut will take you to the proper page, but it's also going to be streaming on our Fast Tracks Tube website as well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, so anyway, a lot of ways. Also, I forgot. It's also going to be on LinkedIn. So for all of you out there that connected with me, just search for Paul Abernathy. You know what an ugly mug I have. Join me on LinkedIn, subscribe, and you can even listen and watch from there as well. Again, June 28th, we're going to launch the next edition of our live show. Y'all probably remember Electrician Live that we had for a couple years. All right, well, we're back at it again, a new live show focused on the Fast Track system, but we'll also be talking and answering questions and doing a bunch of good things. Whole new look, whole new theme. Everything looks different. Okay, whole new streaming equipment. The whole thing's different. So make sure you bookmark it on all of your favorite video platforms. Okay. Today's show is also sponsored by Electrical Code Academy Incorporated. If you do need electrical training, whether it's post-licensing, residential, commercial, grounding and bonding, electrical theory, whatever you want, maybe even HVAC electricians out there. Hey, how many of you out there always struggle with the troubleshooting with HVAC systems in the electrical part? Well, we got a program dedicated just for you folks, so check it out over on our website. If you want to learn the National Electrical Code for exam prep, or if you just want to be a more rounded, knowledgeable electrician, then you're going to check out fasttrackssystem.com. And under the courses, you'll see all of our courses, but you're looking at the black and the plus. Those are our exam prep programs. Oh, and by the way, we have added a budget program out there for those that are like, yeah, I just need a little freshen up before my exam. Then the budget course is about half the price. And you get all the course material. You don't get the same support, obviously. But now that we're doing it Wednesday night live, then I guess you really do get pretty good support. So check it out. You don't get all of the exam questions in that program than you do in the normal Fast Tracks. But again, if you're on a budget, that's one way to look at it. So just go to Fast Tracks System, and that's Tracks, Trax, system.com, fasttrackssystem.com. All right. Well, let's go on and get into tonight's episode. All right, so I have a question that was submitted to me, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Hey, Paul, when we conduct a MEG insulation test on a 480-volt system, and of course, the wire is rated 600 volts, Is it safe to use the 1000 volt setting or 50 volt setting? And I think he means 500 volt setting. It's a thanks in advance. Okay, great question. Now, look, everybody knows I have put out documents. I have been on different other shows, and I talk about MEG testing. And I explain that everybody forces, engineers and everybody forces compliance in wanting to do MEG tests. And ultimately, they're going to go to some NETA standard. And NETA standard basically will say 100 mega ohms when you're dealing with wire. But you got to remember, that's really medium voltage type of stuff where you really do have a return path on the cable assembly. So let me explain a little bit. So in MEG testing, you have a megometer, and you're sending out a certain level of voltage, and you're trying to read back any linkage that you might give through the maybe stressed out insulation or damaged insulation or just weak points in it. That could have been part of production, just could have been damaged during an installation. And, megging is fine. And by the way, megger or megging is typically, there's a company called Megger who kind of pioneers a lot of this stuff. But, it's megometers and insulation resistance meters, things like that. They really aren't as perfect as everybody thinks they are. Think about it here. Let's use a little logic before I answer this question. Use a little logic. If I'm going to be testing a conductor's insulation, so I'm going to connect the lead to the, let's just say, copper conductor, and I'm going to set it at a certain voltage, whether it's 500 volts or 1000 volts. And I'm going to put that through that. And typically, by the way, the UL standards for thermal set under 44 or thermoplastic under 83, typically they're doing about 500 volts, okay? So the thing about it is, if you have everything is insulated, it's pretty hard to get any reliable readings. Now, you could have some capacitance building up. Maybe your unit discharges, and new modern units do. Some do not. Old crank style do not, so you'd have to discharge it between tests. But the point is, if everything is insulated, how in the world would you get a real reliable return path to have anything that you can rely on? I mean, think about it. What am I going to connect it to? Now, if you have PVC raceway and all your conductors are insulated, you connect one of the leads to one of the conductors, and now you connect the other lead to another conductor, well, they're both insulated. The reality is you're not going to get any readings unless they're both potentially bad or damaged at the same area. Okay? And you probably could do is better with just a continuity tester, unless, of course, they're not touching, then that wouldn't do you much good. But the point is, to use a megger, you have to, what you put in, you got to get something back to the meter. If it's all insulated, it's kind of pointless. Yeah, you're going to get some numbers. Okay? You're going to get something. But is it reliable, or does it just make you feel warm and fuzzy when you see it? That's probably what it is. It just makes you warm and fuzzy when you see it. Now, people ask me all the time, what is the lowest level in MEGs that you would actually accept? And you know what? I think that when it comes to wire, anything that's over 20 is probably going to be fine, 20 mega ohms. Don't always look for gigs. And you could have multiple conductors in a raceway and one be dramatically lower than the other. That means absolutely nothing. That doesn't mean it's imminent failure. Okay. So the NETA standard, for example, when it says 100 mega ohms, is not really germane to normal building wire. So at the end of the day, I had conversations with manufacturers of these insulation resistant meters, and they basically told me that their products weren't specifically designed for use with conductors that are all insulated inside of some type of raceway that is insulated, like a PVC. You're not going to get really reliable readings. You're not. Now, if you happen to have a bare equipment ground in there for some reason and you're testing to that, then yeah, you might get some readings. If you have insulated conductors but you have a metal raceway of some sorts, then yeah, you can get some realistic readings on that. But if everything is insulated, it's just a crapshoot, to be honest with you. Now, people always ask me about MC cable. Can you use a MEG tester to test for insulation on an MC cable? And the reality is no, because the polymeric material or the flame retardant paper that wraps around the whole assembly does not. It takes a lot for that to get across it. Now, testing that I did a while back, it was as much as 4,000 and 5,000 volts. And it's some testing we did on some cables in non-metallic sheath cable. And we tried to pump some through the bare equipment ground and do testing that way. And it just was, and we damaged some black and damaged some white at certain locations. But there was that paper separator. Normal testing wouldn't detect anything. Just acted like it was fine. And you knew it was damaged. We know because we damaged it. Same thing with the MC cable. Since MC cable typically has a polymeric wrap that wraps around all the conductors that are in the assembly, anything that were to get out to the armor is going to be pretty much not going to take place. And I know this too because we did tests on this as well. Damaged the hell out of some conductors. Put them in the polymeric wrap like normal, and then put it back inside of the MC cable. And then we just proceeded to flood it and just could not get it to do anything. So, and we also did high pot testing on that. Same concept. We as obviously higher voltages and, in many cases more destructive. We did testing on MC, and we had to crank that thing up again, 4,000 or 5,000 just and it barely wouldn't even make it through the MC. It wouldn't work for the MC. Now, it ended up working for the non-metallic sheath cable. But the point is, we went from an insulation resistance test to a high pot test, being more destructive, looking for and using a lot higher level of current, okay? High level of voltage and everything associated with it. So at the end of the day, I do have a paper out on it. If you're interested in it, you can always email me at paul.abernathy@fasttracksystem.com. Or you can just go to our website and use the contact us and ask me for it. I'll send you a copy of it. And at the end of the day, if everything is insulated, it's pretty hard to get any real reliable readings. Let me just put it that way. Okay. And if you call the manufacturers of those machines and you ask them, say, hey, I got an insulated raceway and I got insulated conductors. Will your megometer work for me? And we're not talking medium voltage where you have a center core, you have dielectric material, then you have an outer braiding. That's perfect for these machines. And if you go look at the MEG document, Stitch in Time, you'll notice that it talks about a cable assembly with a lead sheathing on it and it shows you the setup, but it does not really show you how to do that with like building wire in a PVC raceway because it's just not what it's designed for. Yeah, maybe if it's rigid metal, intermediate metal, EMT, okay, you got a chance. There you go. When everything's insulated, it's a crapshoot, so stop. Also, people want to MEG all the time when they throw conductors into the earth, direct burial, USE-2, for example, and they want to stick one lead on a conductor and then one lead into the earth and think they're going to get any real readings. You're not, folks. The same reason we can't use the earth, okay, as an equipment ground, same reason we can't because there's way too much impedance on it. It's the same reason you can't use the earth in order to be able to use one of those type of meters. So again, if you're doing it out there, you're doing it to make you feel warm and fuzzy, or an engineer's telling you to do it, and you just do it. But reality is, it's all BS. Now, look, the question asks, is it safe to put 1,000 volts setting? Yes. Considered industry, it's okay whether it's 500 volts or whether it's 1,000 volts. The only time you have to start worrying is whether or not it's AC or DC. Okay, AC more destructive. So, but in general, 1,000 volt setting is perfectly fine. Even though the conductors are rated 600 volts, you're not going to be doing it long enough that would cause any problems, right? And so, again, not that big a deal when it comes to that. Again, higher voltages, but that's pretty standard in the industry for us to test it at either 1,000 volts or 500 volts, either one. Obviously, if you're using 1,000 volts, you're getting more pressure So you really are going to be stressing out that, if there's any damage to the insulation, provided you have an adequate return path back to the source, right? Okay. So layman's, without going too deep on that, I'll just answer your question. Yes, it's perfectly fine to use 1,000-volt setting on your your Megger, or your 500-volt setting. Either one is perfectly going to be fine with 600-volt rated conductors. Okay, not going to be a problem. All right, it's not enough duration. It's not long enough, okay, to cause any real stress on that insulation, unless, of course, there's something wrong with it. There you go. Okay. All right. Hopefully I answered that question and gave you a little additional insight to that. Again, if you have any questions, all you got to do is go to paulabernathy.com and send them. I'll do my best to give you the information that I can give you. Okay. Until next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. And again, remember, we're going live June 28th, 2023. Make sure you subscribe to whatever your viewing platform you like. And if you're not a member of Fast Tracks Tube, all those videos that we're going to be posting up there and the ones that are already up there, dude, that's a hell of a deal. $125 annually gets you unlimited access. But if you want to get $25 off, just use a coupon code 25OFF, all capitals. And that'll get you $25 off the annual subscription. All right, folks, till next time, stay safe. God bless. And remember, send your questions, paulabernathy.com.